and welcome to the Cowboy Chronicles, the Oklahoman's Oklahoma State football podcast. I am your host, Scott Wright, joined by Jacob Unruh, back here on our Tuesday night spot at Stone Cloud, 917 South Husband in Stillwater. Fantastic as always.
It's hopping.
It is. Big crowd behind us that you can see some of. Probably see a dog or two walk through.
There's
seen
lots of dogs.
At least 4 dogs here tonight. This place is dog friendly, in case you're curious. So
there's food offered tonight.
There is.
They have food trucks coming. We have a schedule right here that you can see
right,
as
yeah.
well.
Zoom in there.
Yeah.
Check out the food truck
We
schedule
have
if you
beer.
want to know.
We have Halloween,
Right.
fall decorations. This place is just jumping.
Right. Yeah, it's still good enough weather. You can go check out the patio. We
Yes.
haven't talked enough about the patio over the course of the podcast.
Yeah.
They've got a really sweet patio back there.
Maybe we should
Pretty
move
amazing.
back up there sometime. and
We'll
record.
have to. We'll have to before it gets too cold.
Yeah.
Because then we won't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's jump right in. What you drinking tonight, Jacob?
Oh man, I went to the deep in the well here and got a can from them.
Right.
Called Whippersnapper.
All right.
And it's a white IPA, and it's really good. It's
Very nice.
I've had it before. I'd forgotten about it, and then they recommended, hey, maybe you'll like this one. And so I took it, and it's really, really good. Really smooth, really good flavor.
All right. We'll discuss in a second whose beer this is.
Yes.
That I'm drinking tonight, but I am going with I'm going down the IPA Boulevard as well with Mellow, one of their regulars here.
That's a good one.
I'm really enjoying it so far. It's my first time.
I've had a
Really
lot
good
of Mellow at the farmers market in Oklahoma City.
Ah,
At
interesting.
Scissortail. They have a farmers market
Yeah.
every Saturday during the summer through October, and Stone Cloud usually has a tent set up, and I've had Mellow there a lot.
Very good. So as I said, we got to discuss whose beer this
yes.
is, because this beer goes to the person who wins the pick contest. Reminder before we get into any farther. If you're watching on YouTube, go put your score prediction for the OSU
Yes.
Texas game in the comments, and we'll give you a free beer that one of us will drink next week.
Yeah, we'll drink it in your honor.
That's exactly right. Okay, now with respect to this week's winner, we got a situation we haven't discussed, because we had several people pick OSU to win,
Right.
and one of them had the closest score prediction. However, we did have one guy come in and pick TCU to win. So, do we go strictly off scores, or do you have to get the winner right?
I think you got to get the winner right.
I think so too.
I think you got to get the winner right. If you don't get the winner right, what are you doing? I mean,
Right.
what are we doing if we give it to someone who, it's like the Price is Right. You go over, it's too
Right.
much.
Exactly.
So I think the winner
That's what I
is
think.
how you have to get right. You have to start with
That's,
the winner, and then you get the closest score.
I completely agree, and as I said, there was only one person who picked TCU, though he did put his score several times in the comments.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
He was intense about it.
He was very, very intense. Jesus Pinto, 56-21 TCU. Not real close on the score, but he was the
No.
only one to get the team right.
Well done, Jesus.
Yes.
I hope you enjoy
So,
this beer that Scott is
I'm
enjoying.
going to drink this Mellow right here for you, Jesus.
Yes.
So,
Mellow's good for a guy who kind of went a little crazy with the score. So
he could stand to mellow out a bit,
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
or just get drunk. Either one.
Yeah.
Either one. All right. Well, we'll touch a little bit on looking back at TCU, though you can hear all of our thoughts from immediately after the game on the podcast channel, our Cowboy Walk and Talk that we record after the game immediately. Not immediately, a few hours after.
Yeah.
But we'll touch a little bit on that. We'll look ahead to Texas, talk a little bit about what OSU players had to say tonight, as we give you a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look, like we do every Tuesday night, on what the players were talking about tonight. And then we'll get into to our Stone Cloud six-pack later.
The best part of the night.
Got some fun stuff on the schedule for that. We'll get into all of those things as we go along. But let's start as we look back at the TCU loss, 43-40 in double overtime. What's kind of the lasting impression, Jacob, that's sticking with you right now?
I think we talked about this the other night. It was late. I can't remember now. We drove back afterwards through a storm. It's been an adventure since.
It's been a lot.
But I still think about the run game.
Right.
And offensively this time, I think they just couldn't get enough going to open up the offense, and that sticks out to me. That they've got to get this figured out. They've got to get more than Dominic Richardson involved. They've got to do all these different things to get the run game going, because if not, Spencer could be hurt. He could be 100% healthy, and it's not necessarily going to matter against some of these teams that are getting ready to play. They've got to be able to balance some things out.
They do. They're facing some 6-man, 7-man boxes and not being able to get more than 3 yards a carry. I can't remember if we talked about this on the podcast or not, but running backs alone, not counting Spencer and his 68 yards on 11 carries, running backs alone averaged 2.4 yards per carry. Dominic's numbers were better than that, but they had a couple other guys that had some losses. So it really stands out as I don't want to say a disaster area, but it's trending that direction.
Yeah,
it's going downhill at this point. I don't think that Dominic is the problem, though I think they need to get other guys involved to help him out because he's taking a lot of punishment, and that's going to wear on him as the season goes on. They need to have those other guys ready. Mike Gundy kind of reversed the script on me when I asked about him yesterday. I was suggesting that this line isn't as good as a run-blocking team as they were last year. Mm-hmm. He suggested it was more that Jaylen Warren was just really good.
Right.
Which the NFL has proven that he absolutely is. He's backing up Najee Harris in Pittsburgh right now, and they're trying to get him more involved in the game. Mm-hmm. So Gundy's point absolutely stands. That yes, the Jaylen Warren was a special playmaker at running back, could make guys miss in very tight spaces, things like that.
And it's not that Dom's not a good playmaker.
Right.
Dom can make plays too. He's just a different style running back.
Right.
And he's not getting – I still don't think he's getting the holes that Jaylen got at times.
It doesn't feel that way to me. I feel like the run blocking has receded a little bit with this group. They're a much better pass blocking team than they were a year ago.
Yes.
And that was the point of the question I was trying to get to with Mike, was that it feels like it's flipped, where last year's team struggled to pass block, seemed like a better run blocking team. Now they're the other way around, even though you got 3 out of the 5 guys are the same dudes that were blocking last year.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic that they're dealing with, but they've been really good at pass blocking. The run blocking needs to come along. I think you've got a couple of guys that are in their first year as starters on the left side of your line. I think that impacts things with Etienne and Materko. Preston Wilson's in a new position. Preston Wilson was out last week.
Yep.
Missed basically a game and a half now. I think that his presence at center is very important.
Yes, it is.
And Hunter Woodard is just extremely consistent at right guard in what he does. Right tackle, they kind of bounce those guys in and out. They rotate. Springfield's always been the starter, but Queso Brooks will come in and see some time. He's been really good, getting a lot of penalties. I think he leads the offensive line in penalties, even though he's like 6th in snaps. But he's been solid when he's been on the field, with the exception of going crazy there in the Arizona State game and getting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. But that's the biggest area where I think this offense needs to see some pretty quick improvement to open some things up for Spencer Sanders, especially if this shoulder injury continues to linger, because otherwise they're going to have to find ways, whether it's getting Dom out of the backfield or whoever the running back is out of the backfield, which went really well.
Yeah, Dom's turned a really good pass-catching running back. That's an area that he's never done much of until this season, and all of a sudden he's becoming really reliable out of there, and it gets him in space. It gets him to where he can do some things to make guys miss or run through some guys. That's become a very underappreciated part of Dominic Richardson's game, I think.
I would agree. Been kind of surprising to see it emerge the way that it has, but he's become a really good weapon that way. I mean, Jaden Nixon got wide open on the wheel route and just dropped that ball that probably would have gone for a touchdown.
He just missed it.
He did. He just whiffed.
The drop is generous.
Yeah.
He just missed it.
It
went right through his hands.
Yeah. But, you look back at the stats from Saturday, John Paul Richardson, Brennan Presley, Dominic Richardson were the most effective pass catchers in that game. I think it was partly because of the way that TCU was covering, but also partly because the longer throws became an issue for Sanders as we got deeper into the game. So I think if you give him more opportunities to hit those guys in some of the shorter routes, maybe you can make a little bit more of an impact, try to loosen things up. We'll see how they game plan around. Because here's the thing about Saturday. They had no idea what they had with Spencer. He hadn't practiced all week. They assume he's going to be in good shape, but you don't know what you've got till he gets on the field. Then he comes out, goes 7 of 10 in the first quarter. And if you're Casey Dunn, you probably settle in and think, okay, this is just a normal day. And then you get ahead 24-7, and you don't really start thinking about what the implications are going to be with this shoulder injury down the line. And I think maybe they didn't react quickly enough when things started to kind of fade a little bit. Anything else on the defensive side? I think tackling is the biggest issue.
Tackling, which I think that could be easily fixed for this team. They've always been a good tackling team until the last 2 weeks.
Right.
I think this is just a blip that I think they're going to figure out.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of closing the book on TCU, looking ahead to Texas. Defensive line, I think, has the most significant opportunity to really make a big impact on this game against Texas.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers does not run.
No.
He's not Max Duggan. He's not even Blake Shapen. Blake Shapen
Right.
can move. He's not Baron Morton.
Right.
I was going blank for a second. Sorry,
Yeah.
Baron Morton at Texas Tech, who ran really well.
Yeah.
He's not these guys. He's more sit in the pocket, look for passing, doesn't really move. And so now Texas isn't allowing a lot of sacks, but I don't know that they've really faced defensive line like OSU's yet. And if Derek Mason pins their ears back and lets them go, I think it'd be really interesting because they didn't have a lot of impact last week. Some of that's Max Duggan's ability to move. Some of that was Quentin Johnston's ability to cause problems in the passing game. So I think you had to be a little more conservative. So I think we see them go a little bit more aggressive this week defensively because if they get in the backfield, they're also going to get to Bijan Robinson and guys like that back there too to really kind of wreck the run game too. So I think they're going to be a little more aggressive.
I think so too. I think that I think the key is being creative because you can't be bringing the house a lot because they've got so many different weapons at a variety of positions. Whether it's the tight end who, I mean, he's tight end size but plays like a receiver.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy is ridiculous. They've got speed across the board at the receiver positions. Then they've got the two running backs in Robinson and Johnson that are both capable of breaking tackles. So you got to be kind of picky and choosy with who you're sending, when you're sending them, where they're coming from, and try to give them some fits. Because like you said, Texas not giving up a lot of sacks, even though they've got a quarterback that does not take off. He's by my count rushed the ball twice on purpose this year. For a gain a total of 20 yards, 16.
So there's no more spy game for this defense, which is going to help.
Exactly. So, but that said, he's only been sacked 3 times in 4 games. So that tells you what they can do on the offensive line. Kelvin Banks Jr. at left tackle was committed to Oklahoma State for a decent bit. One of those guys that they found really early, and then I think he might have been a 4-star. I think he was a 3-star when he initially committed to OSU.
Yeah, and then he got up,
and then blew up after that. But they're really talented across the offensive line, really good at protecting the passer. So it's going to be a little bit. I mean, I know nobody likes to just sit and watch the trenches. But it's going to be a little bit of stars on stars against on the Texas offensive line.
I'm really excited for it. People may not want to watch that, but I want to watch it. I think it's going to be really fun to see what a Colin Oliver, a Brock Martin, a Trace Ford, a Tyler Lacey, Ben Kapinski, even a Sione Yasi, what those guys can do to really get to Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, they've got to make an impact on this game. They didn't really make a ton of an impact, though Gundy said on Monday he was pleased with the way they were able to not let Duggan find a bunch of free running room. At the same time, they weren't putting him on his back. They weren't pressuring him a lot. They've got to be doing those things to Ewers, who, I mean, he's still a young guy. He's a redshirt freshman that you assume could be rattled if you're in his grill quite a bit.
This seems like a way to confuse. He might be a guy that you could try to confuse a little bit with some different things too.
Yeah, so I think this is a good week for Derek Mason to kind of show his creative side.
Yeah,
whether it's up front or in the back end with what they're doing, secondary wise. Obviously, a big week for the linebackers because you've got to be making tackles. Mason Cobb has been a really reliable tackler to this point. Had a rough week last week. 4 missed tackles, even though he still had 16.
Yeah,
4 missed tackles.
Had 20 tackles. Think about it. He could have had 20 tackles.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time I covered him when he had 20 tackles. Even at the high school level.
Right.
That's impressive.
Yeah. He's got a chance to be a really big influence on this game against the run, and then in the secondary you've got to be solid because all these guys, like we said, have ways they can hurt you. Whether it's Worthy doing all the different things he can do, the tight end just out muscling you at the point of the catch, whatever it is. So a lot to be worried about if you're the secondary. And a lot of that falls on the cornerbacks. The safeties, I think, are really solidifying themselves across the middle. Jabbar Muhammad has been solid, had a rough game against TCU.
Quentin Johnston's a monster, though.
I
don't know that Jabbar did a lot of wrong there.
No.
I think it was
that dude's good.
Just Quentin Johnston's an NFL receiver
Right.
Like a talented NFL receiver that's going out there and just wreaking havoc on a guy that I know Jabbar doesn't want to talk about his size. We talked about that last week.
Right.
It's a little undersized for Quentin Johnston. And so that was a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. I would expect Corey Black back on the field.
Yeah.
Though he is dealing with a hamstring that seems to be nagging him. Cam Smith has been really good as a redshirt freshman, forced into action when nobody expected him to be playing. He's been really solid in what he's doing. They're not getting tested as much as I expected a third-string corner would get tested at this point after 2 games. So, be interesting to follow that along. Let's, like I said, let's take the listeners behind the scenes into our Tuesday night chats with the Oklahoma State football players. We got 3 guys tonight. Normally get 4. Brendan Presley was just so short he snuck out hiding behind a lineman.
We're gonna boo Brendan this week.
No, don't boo
really.
Brendan. Don't boo Brendan. He's too nice.
He is too nice.
He's always helpful to us.
But
can't complain. But
I would like if Brendan did not sneak out.
Yeah, would have been fun to
Just
talk
because
to.
he's fun to talk to.
Yeah. We got to talk to Braden Cassidy on the offensive side of the ball, the tight end.
That was fun.
That was
Hulk Hogan, as I refer to him.
He's got a solid, it's a straight 80s Hulk Hogan look too.
He's just missing the bald spot on the top.
That's exactly right.
He's just missing the bald spot. But I really feel like he's going to run around and Hulk up and what Hulk do for you? And,
rip the shirt off.
He's got that going on for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Michael Flanagan on the defensive side, and Colin Oliver, who I enjoy talking to that
Colin's
dude so
great.
much. He is.
It could have been a really fun night with Colin and Brennan. Like a really, really fun night. It was already fun.
It was.
But it could have went really over the top with Brennan too.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of those guys, you can get really good football talk from them, and you can go off the rails, talk about some interesting stuff, some unique stuff, some outside the box stuff, and have a lot of fun. So, I mean, this close to Halloween, you're going to have to talk candy with Brennan because he's obsessed.
Maybe we can get him next week, right before Halloween.
Right, that'd be great.
That'd be good.
You got to visit with Braden Cassidy. What did the big tight end, former defensive end, have to say for himself today?
He talked a lot about being from Austin. He was not a Texas fan growing up. He was part of it was he wasn't born there. He was there for I think 8 years. He said his dad's a football coach,
right.
So he said I was a team member. My dad was coaching more than anything. So it made a lot of sense. But he's got some friends on the team. Got a lot of friends coming in town from Austin. Obviously his mom's coming in town. So a lot of added excitement there. Talked about there are barbecue spots, which he lists off a bunch of places I haven't been in Austin.
Ooh.
Including Black's and I can't remember a lot of them. I'd have to go back to the answer now. But he rattled off some I'd never been to. And I love barbecue. And I love Austin's barbecue. So I got to try some of these places. He didn't name Franklin. I was a little surprised. It seemed like everyone named Franklin, but didn't name it.
Help me out because I'm drawing a blank. Wasn't that where we went last time we were down there?
No, we've not been to Franklin.
Where did we go?
Styles and Stitch, right?
That's right, Styles and Stitch.
We've been there twice now.
That's right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that place is big time good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Franklin is morning wait for like 3 or 4 hours.
Right,
but,
right.
He didn't mention that one. I was a little surprised. But he did talk about the run game a little bit. But he also talked about Rashad Owens' move to Cowboy back, which I thought was fascinating, and how Rashad's picked it up really fast. And talked about how the only thing that's really been interesting with Rashad is he knew a lot of the plays already because of being a receiver and knew a lot of that. But now there's certain words they use for the run and their play calling that he wasn't really aware of. He's like, I've heard that, but what is this? And so he's starting to catch on there. I did talk to Braden too about his post route that Spencer tried to throw to him on Saturday, which blew my mind. And even Braden said he was a little surprised that he got that.
Right.
Got that pass thrown to him. But he's like, I was also hyped up about it too because he knew it was in the playbook. He knew it could happen, and so he was a little hyped up too. So overall, good chat with Braden.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoyed that. Also, apparently, the Cowboy backs. He kept calling them tight ends, not Cowboy backs.
I'm team tight end. You know that
too. I was on board with it. So they go out on Thursday nights for dinner together, and so Rashad's fit in really well there too.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
it's nice of them to welcome him along.
Yeah,
it's being team players.
Yeah,
I like it.
It was good. So you talked a lot to Colin Oliver. We got to talk about Colin Oliver.
Absolutely. Like I said, always a blast to talk to. he didn't get into, and guys are like this. They don't necessarily want to give away a lot of what's going on or, what's in the game plan, which is completely understandable. But we talked a lot about the attack on the Texas offensive line and what that's going to look like, what they've got to do. He didn't go into a bunch of details in terms of what he sees from them, other than just 5 really solid dudes that they've got to deal with. But he did acknowledge that this is a very exciting matchup for them because they know the challenge that's ahead. They understand that they've got the chance to really impact the game with this. With a quarterback that doesn't move around a lot, they can be a little more free in what they're doing. So the dynamic changes this week for them, and they understand how important it is. So we got into a lot of that type of talk. Got into what he got asked about Malcolm Rodriguez. Talked very glowingly about his 1 year with him, how impressed he was by being around him for a year. And he mentioned that he has played Madden with Malcolm.
As Rodrigo?
As Rodrigo.
Exactly. I'd never even crossed my mind that Rodrigo is on Madden this year.
I hadn't thought about that.
It not crossed my mind that you could go play as Malcolm Rodriguez.
Right. No. I assume that the video game was made early enough that Rodrigo hadn't emerged yet. So I'm sure he's like a backup linebacker that probably doesn't have great.
They update weekly though on that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Well, that shows you how.
So he should be good.
How what I know.
I wonder if Devin Harper's on the game.
That's a good question. Very good.
It's interesting.
Or Christian Holmes.
Rodrigo.
Christian Holmes,
go
recover a fumble with Christian Holmes.
Yeah.
Just like he did.
Rodrigo, that's fun.
Right? It is. So, yeah, he talked about actually, being that character in the game and playing and really enjoying that. And then someone brought up the idea that, the NCAA version, the college football game is coming back next summer, I believe. And, so he'll be on it. He's going to still be around. And so got into now he went really deep into the weeds because I haven't touched a video game in
been a while
years.
For
but
me.
he was really deep into what he thought his strongest qualities were going to be. Finesse moves. He thinks that should be his one of his key areas.
I didn't know that was an attribute
of attack.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, speed. He thinks will be up there.
Yeah, I could buy that.
I'm not going to disagree with that. So
yeah.
Going back to actual football talk, this is one of the more interesting things that I think I got out of visiting with Colin, because we were talking about snap counts and player rotation, all those sorts of things along the defensive line, and I asked him if he feels like he's on the field more for clear running situations, whereas last year you would see him disappear for a while and show up on a third down, whereas this year he's on the field a lot more regularly than he was a year ago. And he says that he feels like his added weight has helped him in being able to handle those situations, as well as just having earned the trust of the coaching staff to be on those situations where he's not just a rush guy and a pass rush guy. So he feels a lot more comfortable in his role because he feels like he can handle whatever's coming at him. And so, he's gotten the opportunity to line up, they'll move that Leo, that rush edge rusher, back into that kind of a middle linebacker role or position. And he talked about how much fun that was for him when you're just reading a play when you're reading the actual play rather than just reading the guy in front of you and reacting to him, the guy that's trying to block you. And he said he's had a lot of fun doing that and really enjoys those opportunities to just watch what's happening in front of him and read and react. So, that seems to be a part of the defense that's emerging more significantly here lately. It seems like the last 2-3 weeks we've seen that Leo move back into that middle linebacker role, which was something they did a lot. Jordan Brailford was the first one that really did that a lot.
Bundage did it a lot.
Bundage would do it. They did it some with Trace Ford his first year, seemingly more than the last couple of years. But that's something they've gotten back to this year a little more frequently, and I think it's a really good weapon because of the speed and the versatility you've got from that spot. Because you can still have, you can have Colin Oliver in that middle linebacker spot and still have Trace Ford coming off the edge on one side. So they can do so much with that. I think it's going to be really fun to watch. So Sean Michael Flanagan was the last guy that we got to talk to. He's a very reserved guy.
Yes.
But he does have a lot to say in terms of really getting into some football stuff. We both talked to him, but what'd you?
I talked to him about special teams a little bit, and just kind of how good this unit was brought up to him, and he talked about just kind of how things have really he thinks they have improved the last couple years. They were good. He's like, they were good when I got here, but they've really gotten better the last few years. And I asked, is that because of the way they're coaching now? Because when he got here, there was only 2 coaches going over the whole special teams unit. Now there's 4. There's 4 different assistants directing each unit that's used. He said they really are able to hone in, and they focus on one area of the other team and say, we've got to win this battle, and it's really helpful. He was really fascinated about that part of it, and he just seems like he's getting more and more comfortable. I did ask him about Keenan Daniels. I said, are you a mentor or a big brother? He said it's kind of a big brother, little brother thing maybe. He's got a really good relationship. They really work well together. He said, but Kendall points out things to him that he doesn't realize. So it's kind of a give and take there that they work really well together.
I like the big brother, little brother idea.
Yeah.
Because you kind of hear this stereotype of big brother, little brother.
Yeah.
The older one is the more calm and reserved, and the younger one's a little bit more crazy. And playing style wise, that absolutely fits those two guys.
Absolutely. And personality wise, I think a little bit too.
Definitely.
And so it fits. But I think they're growing together in different ways, and so it's been fascinating to watch. I decided to ask him about it.
It's really interesting because Flanagan is a 5th-year senior, but this is his first time really getting a chance to start. Like you said, he's been a special teams guy basically his entire career.
Yep.
He was a big-time get. They pulled him away from Arkansas late in the recruiting process. He was the number 1 rated player coming out of Arkansas that year. A big addition who's just been kind of a second-team guy behind all those stars that they had in the safety spots the last few years. And now he's getting his opportunity and splitting time with Daniels, who is obviously very talented, just a little less controlled and a little less detailed in his knowledge of the defense. And Mike Gunny made the comparison that he's not always going to be in the right spot, but he's always going to be going 100%.
Right. Yeah.
Always going to be going full speed. So it's a very interesting dynamic. Flanagan had a great game, 11 tackles, and he only played 60-some snaps, 68 snaps maybe.
And it was underrated. Like it was kind of unnoticed. Like you didn't really feel like he was there a bunch, but he was there a lot making plays. And so that's a good sign, I think, moving forward, that Flanagan's starting to settle in and feel a little more comfortable.
Yep. All right. Anything else we need to get into before we jump into the Stone Cloud 6-pack?
I'm ready for a 6-pack.
I'm ready for a 6-pack as well. Let's now this is really fun because usually I give you a heads up.
I had no heads up. I just realized
I
don't have any idea what the football questions are.
No, you have no clue.
I know the other part, but I don't know the football questions.
Yes.
So I really have done no usually I don't do research anyways, but I've literally done no research this time at all.
You at least have some time to think, okay,
I have a general idea on something.
And I'm keeping my phone turned away from you. I don't want you looking ahead.
This is totally a surprise, everybody. Here we go.
Before we get to this, another reminder, scores in the comments. We'll drink a beer for you next week.
Yes.
All right. Number 1, cracking the top on the Stone Cloud 6-pack. Over or under 11.5 rushing attempts for Spencer Sanders against Texas. Does he rush the ball that much? That's how many times he carried it this week, 11. Does he carry it more? Do they try to protect him more?
I think I'm going to go under.
Are you?
Yeah. I think I'm going to go under. I think they're going to protect him a little bit more, and I think they're going to get more other running backs involved besides Dom.
I can see that. Can't strongly disagree with that. Can't argue. That said, I'm going over.
That's fine.
I think that I don't necessarily think that there are going to be more called quarterback runs this week, but I think that he will end up running more than 11 times.
That's fair.
So I'm going over the 11.5 for that one. All right, we've talked a lot about the defensive line and their ability to influence how this game goes. Over or under 3.5 sacks for Oklahoma State?
Over or under 3.5 sacks. I'm going to take the over.
Are you really?
I'm going to take the over.
All right.
I think they're going to let loose this week.
Okay.
I think they're just going to go in attack mode. Not all out blitzes, but they're going to go in more attack mode than they have the last few weeks.
Yeah. I'm going under. I'll say that right off the top. I do think they have a more significant influence this week than they did a week ago. I think this Texas offensive line is really good, and they're gonna be able to protect. I almost said Hudson Card, but Oklahoma State would love that. But but Quinn Ewers will be upright most of the day. 2 to 3 sacks is the max I'm giving up at this point.
I'm going 4. I'm just going right over. I think I'm going to put it right at
solid.
4.
That's solid. All right.
I think 2 by Oliver.
2 by Oliver.
Yeah.
Ooh, strong call. I like
it.
All right, last one.
That's what happens when I really freelance here.
Yeah, exactly. Last one on the football questions here in the 6-pack. Over or under 2.5 field goals made by Tanner Brown?
Over. Going over. He's hit 4 the last 2 weeks each.
Right.
So I'm going over.
This dude has been really solid. And I pointed this out. I don't think I pointed it out on the show, but I wrote it in the paper that he had been – most of his misses had come on grass fields. Yeah. He was 3 of 6 in, I think, just 2 games on grass fields in his career at Oklahoma State. 4 career misses the entire 2 seasons here, and 3 of them have been on grass. He goes down there. Yeah. Not only is perfect on 4 attempts, hits a 52-yarder in overtime.
Best.
In overtime when they had to have it, or they're just basically giving the game away at that point.
Yeah.
And he nails it. Mike Gundy pointed out that that's pretty close to his max.
I think he has a few more yards in him.
A few more, but not a lot.
No,
not a lot.
Maybe 55. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'll give him that.
Are you taking the over or under? You didn't say.
Oh, I didn't, did I? I'm taking the over.
Okay.
I'm taking the over. I'm all in on Tanner Brown as well.
And then there are issues too. OSU keeps stalling in the red zone.
They do.
And so I think that's, I don't know if that's going to change necessarily yet. Or they might have a lot of possessions too. So.
Right. And that's been part – their red zone numbers aren't horrible based on when you start looking at some of the other teams that are scoring at the rate that they're scoring. Yeah. They've had they're 30 of 31 on just getting points in the red zone this season. 9 of those have been field goals. So 9 of Tanner Brown's 12 field goals have come when the offense has gotten inside the 20. But when you compare to other teams that are similar in their red zone efficiency, you're seeing a decent number of field goals from those teams as well. So it's not crazy bad, but it could become an issue if they start coming up, starts happening more regularly that they're going to the field goal. All right. Anything else football-wise before we head into to our draft?
No, we're halfway through the 6-pack. I want to keep going.
That's exactly right. Don't stop now. All right. The draft topic this week, fitting I think for this time of year, scary movies.
Scary movies. I will be completely honest. I've not watched a scary movie in probably at least a decade, if not longer.
No scary movies at all.
Not really. No,
not even old ones.
No.
Okay.
Not really. Like I'm just not that really into them anymore. I like some, but I just don't go back to them. My wife doesn't really like scary movies, so it just doesn't really.
Can't really watch one with a 1-year-old in the house. That's
no.
That's tough.
Cohen is not a scary movie fan either.
Right.
So he got a little jumpy in Toy Story yesterday. So I don't think I can pull a scary movie off yet.
Toys come to life and start talking.
Yeah.
Who's not going to be freaked out by that?
That's true.
Let's be honest. Fair. All right. Who's going first today?
I have no idea.
I'll go first.
Okay.
We'll just do it that way.
All right.
I got to be honest. I took a course on the history of the scary movie in college.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
That's interesting. I took a movie course, but I did not take it. It did not focus that.
Yeah, it was like strictly horror movies, and this is where I became addicted to The Shining, and that's my first pick.
Okay, The Shining.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And I was really jealous. My son this summer got to take a trip up to Colorado and went to the Stanley Hotel, which was known as the Overlook Hotel in the movie.
Where's that at?
Estes Park, Colorado.
I've seen it from a distance. I've not been there, but I've seen it from a distance.
Yeah, he got to go in, tour some of it, check it out. I was really jealous. He's obsessed with it now and wants to go spend the night there.
Can I admit I've never seen it?
That's fine.
I've never seen it.
I mean, it's a 70s movie. I'm not gonna hold you.
Never seen it.
If you told me you didn't know it existed, we would have an issue.
Oh no, I know it existed, but it's a Stephen King book. I know that.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
I'll buy that. But yeah. So all right, your turn. Number 1.
Man, so I'm not a big buff on this, so I don't have a lot of the old movies, but I'm gonna go with Saw, the first one.
Okay.
Because it's still one of the most thrilling movie experiences I've had in a theater.
That's fair.
Because it's gory. It's not that part that thrilled me. It was like, oh my God, this is awful and everything. The ending and spoiler alert for whoever has not seen Saw, which I'd be stunned if there's a lot of people who watch. When the man gets up from the room that's been there the entire time, I literally screamed and said other choice words in the theater because it was like I was in college, I was some fraternity brothers, and it was like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And that still stands out to me. So I think I've got to go Saw with number 1.
It's really interesting you bring that one up because that was the movie that signaled to me it was time to stop watching scary movies.
That's fair. I watched maybe the second, maybe the third, and then after that, that's when it started signaling to me, I'm good. And honestly, I'll tell you, I hated Paranormal Activity. That was my signal. That might have been one of the last ones I ever watched.
Yeah.
That I was like, nope, I'm out. This is done. This is stupid.
Right.
I laughed at it, and I was done.
Yeah. Right there with you. Once the Saw series started, The Ring, The Grudge.
Yeah.
I was done at that point.
I enjoyed The Ring.
Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't get into that one.
I was in high school.
That's fair. All right. I need a little bit of clarification before I make my next pick. I know that this was probably a little bit weird. You consider Back to the Future a scary movie?
No.
No? Okay.
Why would I?
I don't know. There was something about time travel that freaks me out. Like the flux capacitor, all those things. The flux capacitor did not scare you at all.
Never crossed my mind as a scary movie.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, then. Okay.
Toss that one out.
Sixth Sense. Is Sixth Sense a scary movie?
I should have had that on my list. That's a good one.
Is that a scary movie?
I will go with
okay.
that.
All right.
I will go
then
with that.
That's my next pick. Sixth
Sense.
Sense.
Man, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm taking that one. I don't want to spoil it, so I don't want to give away the ending.
Saw.
Right.
The killer's right in the room the whole time. Everybody, he's right there.
All right. In that case, I didn't know that the dude was dead the whole time.
No,
blew my mind.
I remember watching it the first time.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I was all in on Sixth Sense. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that movie. All right, up to your next pick.
My next pick, I'm gonna go with 7.
Strong. That's strong.
I know that may not be a scary movie to a lot of people. It's kind of a crime thing. I don't know.
I think it qualifies.
That movie's fantastic.
I think it qualifies.
The whole idea of the 7 deadly sins, what's in the box, this whole thing. That movie, I remember watching that in college for the first time. It kind of changed how I viewed a lot of movies. And I think that movie still is just so great whenever I get a chance to watch it. I haven't watched it in maybe a decade either, but I love that movie.
That's strong. I really like that.
Yeah.
That's one that I never would have considered, but I absolutely qualify it as a scary movie.
To me, for my scary movies is I don't want to go for the. I know I went gory with Saw, but it was the experience I'm picking there more than anything. It's not like I've watched it much since because they got ridiculous, but. I want something that's a little bit more, makes me think more than just scare me.
Yeah.
And so that's where 7 kind of comes in there.
All right. I like it. Very strong. I had a lot of debate about what my third one was going to be. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was really strong. I'm not going with it. That was really strong. That was another one from my history of the horror film class that I became addicted to. Really love that one. But I'm going to the heart of the scary movie experience for me in high school was the Scream series. I'll just pick one. I'll pick number 1 right off the top.
That's good.
But the entire early part of the series before it got a little crazy at the end, was really good. I love Scream, the first one.
Yeah, that one and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all
right.
Those are right in our wheelhouse.
Absolutely.
Of that and Final Destination.
That was another one that was on my list.
I dare you to drive behind a semi with logs on it and not think about that movie.
Right.
I think about the movie every time. I'm like, ugh.
Yep.
Anytime a semi has anything like that, I'm like, it makes me nervous.
Yep.
So
no, that was another one on my list I meant to mention. But yeah, you're good. Go ahead. What's your final pick to wrap up the Stone Cold 6
third one. Sorry, third one. I'm gonna go. I'm torn between 2. But I think I'm going to pick the Mothman Prophecies.
Ooh.
Have you ever seen that one?
Yes, I have.
I love that movie.
That's fantastic.
It's creepy more than anything. It's not. It doesn't scare you. There's some moments that'll jump and kind of make you jump, but that one always just leaves me feeling just kind of. And it's just. But it's really, really intelligent and smart. It's based on somewhat of a true story with the bridge collapsing and things like that. And and Mothman Prophecies is, the Mothman stuff is real to a lot of people. That movie, I think, is excellent, and it creeps me out, and I love it.
I know, no debate
smart.
here. It is. I love that.
Yeah.
There was another one that I was considering for my third one. One problem was I couldn't remember the title of it.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a Denzel Washington movie where there's a spirit that lives and passes from person to person, and they're all haunting him, trying to kill,
I don't remember that
trying
one.
to get him. He's like trying to solve this crime, and I can't remember the name of
I
it,
don't
and I
remember
feel
that
really
one at all.
dumb for that. But
I was also considering Frailty,
no, I'm not familiar with
which
that.
is a Matthew McConaughey movie, I believe. The problem is I can't remember the exact plot, but I love that movie too. I know it's a guy that thinks he's killing people because they have the devil in them, I think is what it is. It's really good.
All right.
It's also another intelligent kind of mind-thinking one.
All right.
Because he's admitting to the crimes as he's telling things, and so it's
Good stuff.
yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. Maybe we'll stick with spooky time of year theme next week and dive into something else. But anything else before we shut this thing down here at Stone Cloud?
I think we're having a lot of fun here. We've got our old colleague John Helsley's
That's
here,
right, sitting right over there.
hanging out
Can't hear a
with
word we're
Dean
saying
Rule
because
from
it's
the
so loud.
Tulsa
in here.
World, and
Yeah.
old
can't hear us
collie
at all.
people there. So it's,
They have no idea that
it's
we're
a good
talking
time
about
here.
them. Well, hopefully they'll watch this later and realize that we're talking about them.
Yeah,
right
we'll
now.
give them a shout out, and they don't even know it.
No clue. That's all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you were listening, thank you to Addison for putting this all together and making it look fancy.
This is Addison's last podcast with us.
Is it already?
I think it is.
I think you're right. I
And
hadn't realized
so
it snuck up on me.
We want to thank Addison for
She's been
real.
fantastic.
She's been great.
Yeah.
I hope she listens to this completely for her last time. Thank you so much, Addison. You've been great.
Yes.
I'll see you on the softball field next summer, and it'll be a blast.
Is she still going to be allowed on the team? Or is she going to have to get her own team?
As far as I'm concerned, she's allowed on the team.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I got no problem with
What
it.
I say goes. I have no
There
idea.
you go.
I have what I say means nothing.
I'm with it. But yes, thank you very much, Addison. You have taken good care of us here at the Cowboy Chronicles. All right. With that, we're going to wrap it up and finish our beer here. But we remind you to come out and check out all the fun stuff they got going on here at Stone Cloud. Got the food trucks. They got all sorts of stuff lined up throughout October right there. Just zoom in on that and check it out, or follow them online at their social media places and keep up with everything they've got. We appreciate them taking good care of us. And thank you to all of you who are following us along at the Cowboy Chronicles.